So, herzlich willkommen zurück zu unserem letzten Talk am Data Disrupted the Summit. Wir haben für euch ganz zum Schluss noch eine riesige Überraschung und zwar eine Premiere. Wir stellen erstmalig für den deutschen Markt ein neues Cloud-Native Filesystem vor. Dieses Filesystem heißt ChubaoFS. Es kommt aus China oder die Entwickler sitzen zumindest größtenteils in China. Chubao bedeutet, etwas Wertvolles zu sichern, etwas Wertvolles zu verwahren. Es ist ein chinesisches Wort. Wir haben es euch auch im Chat nochmal zusammengefasst. Wir haben euch dort auch die Links zur GitHub-Seite und zur Webseite, falls jemand von den Entwicklern mitarbeiten möchte am Projekt. Ansonsten, der Wolfgang hat es vorhin schon angekündigt, wir haben den Talk gestern schon aufgenommen, weil aufgrund der Zeitverschiebung der Shuoran jetzt leider nicht live bei uns dabei sein kann. Wenn ihr Fragen habt, stellt sie uns im Chat. Wir sammeln die, wir leiten die dann weiter an das Projekt und an Shuoran, der einer der Main Contributors ist bei dem Projekt. Und ansonsten bleibt mir jetzt nur viel Spaß bei unserem letzten Talk und mit Chubao.
Hi everyone, my name is Shuoran, and today I'm going to introduce an open source distributed storage system, ChubaoFS. Before getting started, I would like to make a quick introduction to myself. Right now, I'm a software architect at OPPO, working on cloud storage. And before joining OPPO, I worked at JD.com, an e-commerce company where ChubaoFS is developed and open sourced. As a maintainer of ChubaoFS, I'm glad to give an introduction and share some using scenarios in this presentation. Okay, so here's an outline of today's presentation. First of all, what is ChubaoFS? Many of you may have not heard of ChubaoFS before, so I will brief an overview of the background, and then I will explain the high-level architecture and illustrate some featured advantages. After that, some of you may expect that ChubaoFS can be integrated with Kubernetes ecosystem seamlessly. So I'm going to cover this topic as well. Finally, I will show some typical use cases of ChubaoFS. Okay, so what is ChubaoFS? It is most known as a distributed file system and object storage designed to support cloud-native applications on a large-scale container platform. File system and object storage means that there are two optional interfaces to access the same copy of data stored in the system, both POSIX or S3-compatible interfaces. And I will dive into a detailed explanation how we managed to achieve that. But this is very useful when different product teams would like to deal with the same data. Or in other words, ChubaoFS can be seen as a data pipeline that upstream users generate or process the data and put them back to ChubaoFS for the downstream users to use. Different users are free to choose POSIX or S3 interface according to their specific read or write patterns. At the end, I'm going to show a case study of clickstream system, which benefits from these twofold interfaces. Also, ChubaoFS has been deployed in the production environments of several IT companies, which support diverse types of applications. It is open sourced and can be checked out on our GitHub repository. And there is also a paper published on SIG-mode 2019 based on the design. So some of our ideas are accepted as an academy community as well. Okay, as you can see from the landscape, ChubaoFS is a CNCF sandbox project. It hopes to embrace the cloud-native community and take advantage of the ecosystem and integrate it seamlessly. Okay, that's it. That's all for the background. And this one is some key features of the. This slide shows some featured advantage of ChubaoFS, such as high performance for both large and small files, multi-tenancy, and it supports sequential and random read writes, and it is highly scalable, and also it is POSIX compliant. We try to comply with POSIX semantics as much as possible. In the following slides, I may just go through a few features. And for those of you who are interested in ChubaoFS, please check out our GitHub repository or the paper for a more detailed technical information. Some of you might wonder what a ChubaoFS cluster looks like. And this figure illustrates a typical cluster deployment. As we can see, there are three main components on the server side, which is a master, meta node, and data node. Let's talk about master first. Master, also called the resource manager, is responsible for managing and manipulating cluster resources. And no data path is going through master. Meta node is responsible for receiving and dealing with file system metadata requests and storing metadata using a Raft replication protocol. As you can see, 3 meta nodes can form a meta partition, and using the Raft replication protocol. And similarly, data node is responsible for receiving and dealing with file system data requests and storing data using a dual replication protocol. I mean, for newly write, the replication protocol is a primary backup, and for overwrite, the protocol is a Raft replication protocol. And as we can see, in a single cluster, there are usually 3 or 5 master nodes constitute a Raft group. And the number of meta nodes and data nodes are arbitrary and can be scaled out. Before an end user can access storage of ChubaoFS, administrator needs to issue a volume creation request to the master group. During this process, the master will pick up required meta nodes and data nodes to form meta and data partitions and bind them to the specific volume. And the strategies of how to pick up meta nodes and data nodes can be configured. And on the client side, there are POSIX client and object node. Object node can be seen as a S3 gateway. And I will explain this in the following slide. There's one thing worth mentioning that there are, as we can see, there are control plane and data plane in the cluster. The client pulls partition view from master periodically, and a typical read or write request from client does not involve interacting with master, which is, as you can see, master cannot be scaled out. It is a potential bottleneck. And additionally, as the number of clients increases, this partition view pooling requests are overwhelming, which may affect some more prioritized master operations, such as partition creation, disk online, offline, some operations like that. So in a super large cluster, there are always master proxy components. As you can see, master proxy components in front of master nodes to divert such pooling requests. Since the master node only takes HTTP requests, so NGs can be used to act as a proxy. Another thing is that from this overview, we have tried our best to reduce single point bottlenecks as much as possible. As you can see, meta nodes and data nodes can be scaled. Both meta nodes and data nodes can be scaled out, and proxies can be scaled out as well. But only the write request sent to master from administrator might be limited by the ability of single master node. But this kind of requests are low frequent, such as volume creation, deletion, partition creation, deletion, and node online, offline, some requests like that. These kind of requests are low frequent, so it won't be a problem. The bottom line is we try to reduce the bottlenecks as much as possible. Okay, as mentioned before, ChubaoFS can provide both POSIX and S3 compatible interfaces to the end user. And this illustration, this figure illustrates how we manage to do that. You can see that SDK is the real module interacting with master node, meta node, and data node. Above SDK, we can encapsulate Fuse client and object node, providing POSIX and S3 compatible interfaces, respectively. In order for the users to use POSIX interface, the end user needs to start Fuse client as a daemon on their own node. Thereafter, they can access ChubaoFS storage just like local file system. For using S3 compatible interface, a set of object nodes, or you can say S3 gateways, have to be deployed in the cluster So in this way, there is no need for the end user to do any intrusions to their own node. Except for this POSIX and S3 compatible interfaces, we can do a lot more interesting things using this kind of encapsulation. For example, we can build a dynamic library using CGO and expose C API, C language API. We can also use Java DNA and dynamic library to provide Java SDK API. With Java API, we can encapsulate HDFS compatible APIs. So hopefully, end users can use ChubaoFS in their Hadoop ecosystem with no effort, with no modification of their applications or minor modifications. So this HDFS compatible API is under development and will be released very soon. This picture shows a relationship between the concepts in file system and S3. Because as I mentioned that one copy of the data can be accessed using file system API or S3 API. So how do we make a matchup? A volume in file system is treated as bucket in object storage, and files with absolute path can be expressed as an object in S3 interface. It's very straightforward. So since we try to comply with S3 spec as much as possible, so common S3 tools and SDKs of different languages can be used directly to access object node via S3 interfaces. And here, this is a small file performance test result quoted from our paper. As I mentioned that small files performance is a great advantage of ChubaoFS. The reason is that we eliminated single node bottleneck on metadata, both in capacity-wise and performance-wise. For capacity, the meta nodes can be scaled out without a theoretical limit. So the number of files in a cluster has no limit as long as there are enough hardware resources. And for performance, metadata operations are totally distributed among all the meta partitions. Even if you are creating thousands or tens of thousands of files under the same directory. So this is why ChubaoFS is very good at dealing with small files. And small files performance is always a is very hard to distributed storage system. Okay. After that, I would like to show you how ChubaoFS is involved in the cloud native ecosystem. So first of all, the CSI driver of ChubaoFS supports both spec 0.3 and 1.1. Considering that some mainstream Kubernetes version in production environment are still 1.12. So and Kubernetes 1.12 supports CSS by 0.3. So we support both these two spec versions. And this picture shows an overview of the CSS workflow and components. And the CSS driver is also put on the GitHub repository. It's ChubaoFS/CSI. So CSI driver is a standard way in Kubernetes for clients to access on-premise storage. Then with the help of Helm, ChubaoFS cluster can be deployed very conveniently in Kubernetes. As you can see from this slide, there are three required core components, which is master, meta node, and data node. And object node, console, and monitor components are optional. And this picture shows an overview of ChubaoFS Helm. It supports Kubernetes 1.12 and above. And the repo is on GitHub as well, ChubaoFS/Helm. So for those of you who wants to use ChubaoFS in Kubernetes, we can provide deployment tools using Helm and accessing a mechanism using a CSI driver. Okay, finally, I would like to show some use cases of ChubaoFS. ChubaoFS can be used as the underlying distributed storage for a variety of platforms, databases, middlewares, and so on. For example, it can be used as the persistent storage for in-memory database. It can also support AI platform training services. And here comes the clickstream system. The clickstream system stored Nginx logs directly on ChubaoFS, which is very sensitive to latency. And also, the upstream user stores these log files via POSIX interface because the log files needs to be appended. And then the downstream team can just get the log files to do analysis using S3 GET request. So in this way, ChubaoFS is like a data pipeline providing different interfaces for the users to choose. And also Elasticsearch and HBase. Elasticsearch can run on ChubaoFS, which requires which can generate lots of small files. So the advantages of ChubaoFS can support the makes ChubaoFS to have the ability to support Elastic search. And for my MySQL services, since MySQL uses InnoDB storage engine, and InnoDB storage engine uses direct IO write pattern, and which is not very friendly to distributed storage system. So ChubaoFS cannot be used to support the MySQL services with a lot of write operations. But read performance is good enough to support history tables, where most of the requests are read operations. And of course, it can also be used as a database backup for MySQL services. Okay, and that's it for today's presentation. And thanks for your time.
Thank you, Shuoran.
Thank you.
Yeah. One question.
Yes.
Where does the name come from?
Well, it actually is comes from a Chinese poem.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but I don't know how to translate it.
Well, doesn't matter.
It means it means store some valuable things.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, it comes from a Chinese poem.
Okay. Yeah, nice idea. Do you know? Does somebody already use this in production?
Yes. Like I said, GD.com has a very large cluster with 50 PB data, I think.
Okay.
And some other like OPPO and Baker and NetEase. Well, all these companies are recorded on our GitHub who adopt FS.
Yeah, okay, I see. And one last question, do you have any restrictions in size, or can it grow indefinitely?
Well, I'm going to go back to this slide. As you can see, one of our efforts is to reduce the bottleneck, the single node bottleneck. So as you can see, meta node and data node can be scaled out with no theoretical limit. And the only one cannot be scaled out is master node. But since you can see there are two, there are control plane and data plane. The data path will not go through a master. A master will take care of low frequent requests, so it won't be a problem.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So actually, there's no theoretical size limit for this cluster.
Okay. So thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
And yeah, have a nice evening.
Okay, I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, sure. So,
okay,
thank
you very much.
You're welcome. See you next time.
Okay, see you next
Bye.
time. Yeah.
Sehr schön. Sehr interessanter Vortrag. Vielen Dank, Shuoran, auch wenn du nicht bei uns bleiben konntest. Ich hoffe, da passieren noch ganz viele spannende Dinge und ihr werdet richtig erfolgreich mit eurem Filesystem.